I have an interesting point, by the way, which is and this comes from my experience in dozens of different countries and just observing humans. And I think the biggest conservative advantage, I think there's two. I think the two advantages that conservatives have, which they sort of underutilize in their messaging and narratives, is most people around the entire world, most people are pretty conservative. Mm-hmm. There are more conservatives in this world by far than there are leftists or progressives or whatever. Most people, so even what I'm saying here, the reason why the incremental approach works better is because most people are inherently conservative. Most people don't like massive, very quick change in anything in their life. Most people don't like that. Most people have a fairly conservative approach to their life. I think the second big advantage conservatives have, of course, is that the policies actually, it works, right? You don't need to indoctrinate people into
They work on their own merits.
They work on their own merits, right? You don't need to put someone in a, re-education camp of, 5 years of university or brainwash them in school or whatever for them to come along to the principles, right? You have to, by default, most people would understand that, something like the police make sense to manage crime, or that there should be law and order, or most people should and want to get married and have children and have this whatever. You have to indoctrinate people into ideas like abolish the police, abolish the family, disrupt the nuclear family. Those are things you have to brainwash people into. And progressives have been very successful in doing that, right? Despite how poor and ill thought out many of these ideas are, they've managed to brainwash millions of people into them. And I don't think conservatives are taking enough advantage of the fact they're like, look, we've actually got, our ideas just make sense and they're more in tune with what's already in your brain and in your heart. So how can we sell this message and vision better? Which, by the way, to your credit, I think you are, of all the people I see out there talking, I think you're doing this very well. I think you're talking about many points that are just missing from these conversations. I love that you talk about purpose. I love that you talk about meaning. I love that you talk about family and the importance of marriage and the things that people know, but for whatever reason, again, maybe it comes back to the too much politicizing and polling and all this stuff. Yeah. People are kind of afraid to talk about these things that they just know to be fundamentally true.